How's it going, everyone? Alpha Melon with a team builder for our week one battle in the AABL. Our very first week, we're actually up against the Boston Bronzongs, which are the only other team in the league with Bronzong as their mascot. So I want to win. I want to be the better Bronzong. So I put a lot of work into this team builder, but we'll see if it pays off or not. So I just wanted to run down it with you guys. So let's get into it. For starters, the first Pokemon I'm bringing is Zeraora. Zeraora, I mean, it's kind of my go-to Pokemon, but also against his team, it's really good. Manaphy obviously is one of his biggest potential sweepers on his entire team, just with Tail Glow. As soon as it gets that set up, you know, what does anyone do? Zeraora outspeeds Manaphy. Manaphy doesn't really have a way to make its speed better. I don't think it. I know it doesn't get agility, so I'm not too worried about that. But Zeraora outspeeds and one-shots it. Also, Zeraora is just kind of going to be a setup stopper in general with Fake Out. If I have to sack some things off, get him in with Fake Out over and over again just to get the chip damage that I need, that's fine. Because Zeraora in itself is a win condition. Life Orb's on there for extra damage. Actually, he's short 4 EV, so I gotta make sure I put those on something. Probably just throw him onto HP. But yeah, I mean, he's a wall breaker. He's going to be able to hit pretty much everything on his team really hard. The only exception, obviously, being Mamoswine. But even then, you know, I throw out Close Combat just on a prediction, and Mamoswine dies in one hit. Metagross kind of stops it. Knockoff is going to do about 60 to Metagross, but that's still, you know, a good amount of damage. Superior really stops Zeraora, though, but Superior is kind of a problem for my team in general. And I get into that a little more as we go on. But Zeraora, again, he's just kind of there as a wall breaker. I want him to poke some holes in the team, and then we can capitalize on that. And the next Pokemon that's going to be a pretty big part of that is going to be Garchomp. Garchomp, I originally had Z Sandstorm on him, but I don't think Z Sandstorm's all that good in this matchup. Because I think there's a good chance that my opponent has to run Trick Room or has to just accept that he's slower. So running Z Chomp or Z Sandstorm Chomp doesn't make a lot of sense because chances are he's going to have a bunch of scarfed stuff to actually be able to deal with my ridiculously high speeds. So I'm actually just doing normal Rocky Z on Garchomp. Because that can one-shot Rock Z Stone Edge one-shots Togekiss, and I really think he's going to bring Togekiss, and Togekiss is just kind of a big counter to my team otherwise anyways. So that's a Togekiss check. Obviously, Togekiss feels like a safe switch into Garchomp, but as soon as I throw that out, I one-shot it. He's got one of his biggest defensive Pokemon down. And then other than that, Garchomp is really just there. He's a potential win condition just depending on what Pokemon I get down first. If Superior's down, or rather, yeah, Superior probably has to be down. I might be able to set up on... No, I can't set up on Superior because Superior has Contrary. But either way, Swords Dance is there so that I have a way to win with Garchomp if I need it. But yeah, Garchomp's really just there. Surprise pick on Togekiss. Can get a lot of damage off on a lot of things. He's got a lot of coverage there with Earthquake for Metagross, Dragon Claw for pretty much everything else. He's faster than both of my opponent's dragons, which are Tyrantrum and Dredagon. There's a chance he'd Scarf one of them to be able to counter my Garchomp, and I'll just have to be watchful of his switches to see if I can predict if he has a Scarfed Mon or not. So yeah, that's the idea with Garchomp pretty much, is just another wall breaker. He's not even necessarily like... My opponent doesn't really have like a tanky team in general, but he's got so many different things he could bring as switch-ins that I want to make sure I'm running enough coverage, and I want to make sure that I have the attack power to break through those things, so that, because as soon as I get a hole in his team, I really think I can capitalize off of that and just win from that one pick. So I'll have to play kind of safe. I'm playing really aggressive, but we'll see. The next Pokemon is going to be the Mega Burb, Mega Pidgeot here. Mega Pidgeot kind of just destroys his team, honestly. Like, I know it one-shots Superior. I know it one-shots I did the calcs early. Sorry, guys, it's still early for me. I'm a little out of it, but I know it one-shots Mega Lopunny. I know it does a ton of damage with Heat Wave to Metagross. There's really just not much of anything that wants to take a Hurricane from Mega Pidgeot. Like he can switch something into it, but if I predict it's Metagross and I go for the Heat Wave, it takes a ton of damage. If I go for Hurricane, even on Tyrantrum, I know it takes a ton of damage. So he's got to be very afraid of my Mega Pidgeot, and that's kind of what I'm relying on. Hurricane, Roost, Heat Wave, U-turn. Roost obviously is there for longevity. Hurricane's there to do the big damage. Heat Wave's there for coverage. U-turn's just to give me an option if I want to try and gain momentum. Important thing to note is that U-turn is my only pivoting move with this team, so I don't have anyone else, I think. Oh wait, no, I do have one more actually, but still, my pivot options were pretty limited. So this is one of two, and it's a pretty fast Pokemon, so I won't really... Like, I'm not going to be tanking the hit and switching out and gaining momentum. I have to switch into something I know can tank the hit, which is fine, because when it's a feral Pokemon, that's kind of what you want anyways. So, but yeah, Mega Pidgeot's there to do a ton of damage. Definitely a win condition for me, and I think really there's not much I have to get down to make it so that Mega Pidgeot wins, honestly. Like, even Mamoswine, I'm pretty sure was taking a lot, but we'll see. Yeah, I think Mega Pidgeot's probably going to be the way that we win this game, assuming we win it. So, after that, I went ahead and went for Sylveon. So Sylveon, obviously, just a really bulky Pokemon. I'm running the most standard set you could with Sylveon, with max defense, max HP, speed creeping at just 4 EVs on speed, just because I think he has a base 60 Pokemon. I forget though off the top of my head, but just in case, either way. Wish, Protect, Heal Bell, Hyper Voice, running Pixelate and Leftovers. Hyper Voice still does a lot to most of his Pokemon. Wish and Protect are there for longevity. I can take a hit from pretty much everything. There's not really a Pokemon I'm too worried about on his team for switching Sylveon against, other than Alolan Muck. Alolan Muck obviously being the main stopper to Sylveon, but if he doesn't... He's going to have an issue, my opponent is, with just picking his Pokemon, like, which obviously it's a draft league, but like, there are a lot of his Pokemon that counter specific one of my Pokemon really well, but they're too few and too far between, so I think he's going to have a really hard time picking his team, because he has to be conscious of all of my threats and his options for them, and I honestly don't think he'll be able to cover all the things that I'm bringing. So yeah, so Sylveon's pretty basic set. We've all kind of seen that one before. Next up is Kaabalyero. Kaabalyero, I'm bringing a pretty weird set actually. Scarf Thunderwave, and the reason for Scarf Thunderwave being if he brings a Scarfed Superior and uses Leaf Storm, gets +2 special attack because of Contrary, I really can't do anything. Superior scares the crap out of me in this matchup. I'm really afraid of it, so I brought a lot to deal with it. So Choice Scarf T-Wave, just a way to make sure that anything he has that would have been faster than me will not be faster than me, and then obviously the chance of being paralyzed and not being able to move is great. Volt Switch Iron Head Close Combat, Volt Switch there for momentum. Iron Head hits a lot of things really hard. Close Combat hits a lot of things really hard. The 64 on Special Defense that you see there means I can take a... I think a +4 Heat Wave, or not Heat Wave, Hidden Power Fire from Superior, and I know I can live a +0 Leaf Storm and then also a +2 Leaf Storm. So that's the special defense there. I don't think I forget what I'm speed creeping, but I'm faster than something. I wish I could remember off the top of my head. I'll remember when I'm looking at the calcs, that's for sure. And then that takes us to our last Pokemon, which is Porygon 2. So originally this slot was filled with Celebi, but I decided to go for Porygon 2 instead. Porygon 2 can take a hit from everything. Like, absolutely everything, no questions asked. It's going to be able to take the hit. He has to predict with a knockoff if he wants to start dealing with this thing. I'm running Analytic because I'm actually a lot... Like, base 60 is lower than most of the things on his team, and that extra damage is really important on a few Pokemon. Like, against Metagross, I'm pretty sure Foul Play starts to do a lot more. Against Togekiss, I'm pretty sure it lets me 2-shot with Ice Beam. So a lot of cool options there. And yeah, basically he's just there to take the hits that most of the other Pokemon can't, but also he can do a really good amount of damage back, and he's got some good coverage for it. Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Foul Play, Recover obviously just to heal up. Foul Play does a ton to Metagross and not really anyone else, but Metagross is all I need. Thunderbolt's there for Togekiss, Ice Beam's there for Superior, and I think that's really pretty much all I need. Yeah, I said I had Celebi in this slot, and I ended up taking Celebi off just because Celebi can't deal with most of his offensive Pokemon as well. Celebi can't really deal with Metagross that easily. Celebi struggled against Alolan Muck more. Celebi struggled against Incineroar more. So I ended up going with Porygon 2, especially because Porygon 2 I think ends up doing a little bit more damage than Celebi unless I set up a Calm Mind with Celebi. And Calm Mind was the set I had, but I don't think I'm going to have that opportunity. I think I'm going to have to play this really offensive, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I really want to win this one, but we'll see if it works or not. Yeah, the battle should be up probably the day after I post this video, so wish me luck. Thanks. Bye.